and welcome to Creating in Color, sharing the creative endeavors of people of color. I'm your host, Kaybe, and today we speak with Patrick, a producer, director, and writer who's been a panelist at Roxbury FFXBCC 25, both San Diego and New York Comic Con 2025, and Anime Nights NJD 2026. How are you today, Patrick?
I'm doing great. Can't complain.
Wonderful. So, how would you describe a producer, director, and writer?
I would say mainly like a visionary, right? Someone who has walked or been a part of many levels or lanes of life and, was able to learn a lot from the perspective of other people around them, right? And then find ways to utilize that knowledge, that experience to convey either some type of a feeling or something, whether it's visual, musically, or any different form.
How did you get started?
Well, I didn't really, think I wanted to do this at first. I kind of didn't really know what I wanted to do, I think it became something that was really the only path for me. I was kind of told, or I guess thought that more rigid and structured approaches to life were like the best route to go. But when I was at Wesleyan University, I spent a good amount of time in creative endeavors and got to spend some time around some amazing people who really opened my eyes to just creativity and the value that that brings to life.
You said that you felt drawn to it. What exactly do you feel was the pivot into going into entertainment in particular? Because there's so many different types of creative fields that you could do. What drew you to entertainment?
Yeah, I think specifically for me, one of the most impressionable things of my childhood or growing up were like mangas, comics, cartoons, staying up late watching Toonami, and those things really um, resonated with me and helped guide me through some environments or some times that maybe would have been tougher, and I was able to escape in those. So I think you start to analyze like purpose and what it is that we're doing with the little bit of time that we have on Earth. I think spending time, conveying messages through artwork and through different ways of or different mediums to an audience is one of the best ways to spend your 15 minutes, so to speak.
So, what does your daily routine look like?
Hmm. So I still work as a strength and nutrition coach. I specialize in Muay Thai, which is a martial art,
Nice.
and that is kind of like what pays my bills and gives me some stability. So I call that my 9 to 5, but it's technically like 7 to 2, 7. And then after that, I usually get some food, work out, meditate for a little bit, and then I spend my afternoons and evenings working on creating. So my 5 to 9, so to speak, I spend in the creative space.
It feels like, and I don't know how you feel about this, but it's becoming a little bit more difficult to make your creative work your 9 to 5, but balancing the second job of paying your bills versus your creative endeavors. It's a lot of work. How do you find the balance between the two?
Yeah, it's really hard. I think the main way for you to find balance is to like not focus on that it's hard, but to focus on why, right? And so the reason I do this is because I believe it really is a way of like saving lives, right? I know that sounds kind of cheesy, but by conveying stories that are able to make people around the world feel something and to escape from whatever it is that they're, sad or upset or angry at, I think that does save lives, right? And it takes people away from, it allows them to escape, right? It takes them away from whatever it is that was bothering them to a place that could have possibly give them some type of peace or enjoyment or happiness. So I think your why is kind of what is like the flame, so to speak, in the engine to keep you going through such a hard regimen. Because I'd be lying if I said it was easy. It's definitely hard, but Yeah, get a strong why, and obviously make sure you're surrounded by great people. And with that, you'll at least have the foundation to be able to build up from, in my opinion.
Lovely. No, that's wonderful advice. Absolutely. It's all about mindset.
Mhm.
What support softwares or resources do you use or recommend for someone trying to do what you do?
Hmm. That's a tough question for me to answer. But I think what I'll focus on instead of softwares is support and resources because softwares I think are subjective to so many variables, excuse me,
Mm-hmm.
variables, and preference and bias. So I'm gonna dodge that one, but support and resources. I think something, especially for any of those creatives out there who might be um, on the edge of doing the thing. I think one of the main supports and resources that you have at your disposal, whether you realize it or not, are your community and the people around you, right? I think it's really, really important to really put yourself out there. I know it's scary. I know it feels uncomfortable to ask for help, but you'd be surprised how many people around you can really help you with, at the very least, opening doors, spreading awareness, finding something that you need, whether that's funding, whether that's talent, whether that's access to, some type of a competition. At the end of the day, these all these things are run by people, right? And people work with who they know. And so
Mm-hmm.
I would recommend, you know, doing your best to do the uncomfortable thing a lot of times for us. And a lot of us are like more introverted or more focused on our own routine and things that we like. It's very important, even if you don't like it and it's uncomfortable, for you to really step out of that, and to really try to tap into those around you because it's, we all love this stuff. If you're creative, if you're a blurred, there's something that that you're into that can be helpful. And no one's too small and no one's too big. So I would say that's a big support. And then resources, um, I would say something that might be a little controversial, right?
Okay.
But stay with me here.
Okay.
So I don't like AI by any means, but
That's controversial.
hold on, hold on, hold on.
Okay, okay.
I think a really powerful resource, especially because this is a podcast for us, for people of color, right? Is understanding that all the biggest corporations, all the, institutes that are primarily white are utilizing AI to support their functionality and effectiveness constantly. I'll give you one small example of why I think we should at least educate ourselves and position ourselves to be able to leverage this resource. I heard a bunch of students asking, where do we find grants at the most recent conference I was invited to? Where do we find grants? Where do we go? How do we know when to apply, et cetera, et cetera? This man by the name of Bobby Chua literally said, hey, if you plug this into a computer or specifically an AI tool, it'll give you a list of all the grants that are looking for what you're trying to supply by date, ordered, and when you need to submit. So I know that that stuff might be scary to think about when it's like taking people's jobs and things like that. I understand. But I think it's important for us to remember that it is a resource and it is something that you can leverage to put yourself in position to succeed at whatever it is you're trying to do. So I get why people don't like it, and I do have my qualms with it, but I do think that it is valuable specifically for people of color, for all those white spaces where I see people utilizing AI so powerfully and just implementing it for the future. I want us to not be left behind.
So, what projects are you working on?
So I'm working on a few projects. I'll talk about two of them, maybe three.
Okay.
So
Ooh.
the main one that I'm working on, a project I created with my brother Asa Palmer, my late brother Asa Palmer, is by the name of Sentinel 6. That's the working title. But we're shifting it to S6 due to just the title being a little smoother for trademark purposes. That being said, that project is huge. Like, it's a really big deal. We're in the midst of producing the pilot right now. We just finished writing our script. It's completed, and we're out talking to studios and making the thing happen. So, 30-minute 2D hand drawn animation about a sci fi drama animated action series for adults.
Wow.
So, yeah, S6, that's the main one. And then I'm working on another project by the name of Big Red Barn that's basically about um, a boy named Peyton whose parents divorce and he moves with his mom out to a small farm with a big red barn on it. And it's really cute, like a magic treehouse story meets uh, solo solo story about a character who's learning how to navigate the world through the traumas that they're dealing with.
Hmm.
So yeah, those are the two projects I'm really working on. The inspiration I think for the S6 project was just a response to lack of representation.
Mm-hmm.
Ace and I were sitting down just talking about shows, and I'm sure you probably remember or watched Static Shock back in the day.
Yes, I did.
So good.
So good.
Well, Static dropped in the year 2000, and it was done airing and being produced in 2005.
Wow.
And so those memories are fond, and we love them, and it was amazing. It was like so incredible to have that. But that's too long. Like, what other Static has there been since that? You can't name it.
Mm-mm.
So, S6 was a direct response to that. And it's embodied a lot. It's a high concept, but very grounded and very well developed world that is very relatable, but set 400 years in the future. And so we start by looking through the eyes of Blue Sage, who is essentially like the highest touted athlete in New Orleans, but he wants to go to Los Angeles, and that's his dream. And essentially, he loses his dream, but that trigger is what sparks the connection for the Sentinel 16.
Hmm. It sounds really exciting. I was looking at the art you sent me, which was the poster for Sentinel 6, and I was really enthralled by the design
Thank
that all the characters had. Like, I could tell like what type of characters they were based off of it. And to your point, I love that the cast is black. So I'm excited for this and where you take it.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And like that's obviously what we want it to be about. But we also, spend so much time really diving into what LaShawn Thomas coined as the rule of cool, right? Which is essentially this it's beautiful work, but what we're really trying to tell with our story and what you'll see is that it's really just about that it's cool. That's all it has
Mm-hmm.
to be, right? We don't need to be preachy because that almost makes it sound as though, we're pleading for it in a way where we're
Right.
cool enough, it's real enough, it's dope enough. So really excited for what this means and what this is gonna be. Um, yeah, thank you.
Of course. And what about Big Red Barn? What inspired that?
Yeah, Big Red Barn. So, that was a story that I thought about years ago as a child when I was spending a lot of the, ins and outs of what that story is myself. It is a little bit reflective of some of what my upbringing was. And what really inspired me was to tell that story, but not to tell it as it was sad because it seemed sad, but to show the joy of this child having the room to imagine and live in a way that most black boys or most perspectives of what black boys don't get to experience. And so growing up on that farm down in South Florida, I got to spend a lot of time running around in the woods with my dog and exploring things that made me, imagine amazing and such crazy scenarios and stories. And those are such fond memories. And I think about and I look at and reflect on all the things and ways that black boys and black children are depicted, and I've never seen anything anywhere remotely close to that. So
Hmm.
the inspiration there was, hey, this needs to be shown. The spotlight needs to see, like, the realm of possibility of imagination needs to be spread because they want us to be within like certain boxes of like, yeah, you can imagine, but like to hear.
Do you see that being 2D animation as well?
Yeah, I see that being 2D. I could see it being some 3D in there, maybe some 2D 3D blend. I'm
Mm.
not I wouldn't say I'm married to just 2D. I think specifically for what Sentinel 6 and S6 is, that's more so the one where I'm a little more rigid. But Big Red Barn, I could be pitched on a 3D there. I could see that.
I see. And what has your process been like as you work on these projects?
Yeah, so it depends on the project, right? It's been one of the privileges that I have in working on independent work, and also it's a double-edged sword because it's also a responsibility, is you get to be, through almost every single process or every single part of the process, I should say. Now, depending on the project, depending on the team, I have to wear a different hat accordingly. One, I would say that I wear the least would be character design and, any serious animatics or animation. I
Mm.
can do, excuse me, a little bit of concept, accessory and costume design, a little bit of concept development, a little bit of boarding, but nothing really too serious. So I really spend my time outsourcing to good talent, collaborating, allowing people to put their spin on, you know, whatever it is that we're working on together, or if it's my project, allowing my ego to rest and allowing people to kind of put their taste and perspective onto my idea. So it's a really dynamic process, I guess is what I'm trying to say, which is dependent upon who you're working with, what it is, what the goal is, and budget, of course.
Right, of course. And how would you say this would compare to working in a traditional studio versus working in your indie setting?
Mm.
Or in an indie setting, rather?
Yeah, so I actually don't have any, hmm, I would say about as many hours on both hands in a traditional studio, if that makes sense.
Mm.
But I
Okay.
do have tons of friends with years and years and years of traditional studio experience. So I do know. Just wanted to be clear on that. Um, so that's why I said the privilege part, just in the sense of I've been able to kind of be at whatever part is needed and that I wanted to be at, but also have needed to be at most of them as well. So the difference, right, in the traditional studio sense is you don't have to worry about any of that. You got a pipeline, you got a team. When I'm, sending a script over to a studio in another country, there's 30, 40 people there. So if that's your traditional studio, for example, let's zoom in there. You're one person, you work on one thing. Maybe you color, maybe you do lighting, maybe you do sound, like backgrounds, like you just do one thing. Now that's cool. That's awesome. You really get to dive in and you have the support of the team, which is dope. You're on a ship and you have your shipmates with you, you're set. But the problem is, at least what I've heard and what I've felt, is the rigidity doesn't really allow for much flexibility and the demands,
Yeah.
right? So the sentiment that I've heard from a lot of people in traditional studios is just being worn out, right? Being ran into the ground and also just like not being heard, which really sucks. This is such a beautiful and really fun thing to do that I think all the hard work is paid off because you're heard. So if you're not heard, damn, that you know, that seems to burn. That said,
Yeah.
there is, at least while you're working, more financial security. It is very volatile, as we know. So people are getting clipped left and right, getting cut out of things. So you definitely want to make sure that you have, your proper legal team in place and your manager and people who have an incentive to make sure things are going right for you.
Absolutely. Well said. And for anyone who's interested in producing their own projects through an indie studio, much like yourself, what tips would you give? Like, you're speaking to other studios. That's incredible. I'm a team of one. So I was just like, dang, look at you. So, what tips would you give to someone who wants to follow in your footsteps?
Oh man. I guess I have a couple. One, the first thing just being, just do it. Like, there's a million reasons why it won't work. And if you begin to try to like focus on that, you're gonna lose. I think you just gotta go because you'll make mistakes, and it's just about making those mistakes and learning from them, right? A lot of times they're very valuable what happens when you make that mistake. That being said, that's within reason, right? I don't mean just do, reckless things that don't make any sense at all without any thought. That's not what I mean. I just mean put your
Mm.
thought into it and then make it happen, execute. One of the biggest things that stood out about the S6 project with Ace and I from one of my mentors was that he's like, you guys executed it, right? It's not about having ideas. Everyone has ideas, but very
Yeah.
few people like execute completed, polished things, right? Bring their idea to life. So I'd say, what would I do? I would be reaching out to people, DMing them, going to these, like I said earlier when I was talking about resources and support, go to your community. These like events where people who are into the same stuff that you're into, they know people, possibly. Or at the very least, if you show enough care about something that you're into, will share your stuff, to other
Yeah.
people who might show it to someone. So you just never know who's gonna see your work. Show it around, be proud of it. I showed the work in an art exhibit studio one day, and someone happened to have done some work for DreamWorks for a few years there. And he was so shocked with what he had seen, he immediately connected me to someone who had produced 3 seasons of a show on Cartoon Network.
Wow.
So things like that don't happen unless I'm really awkward, nervous, feeling weird about doing this, but I'm like, hey, let me bug people about showing them the stuff that I'm doing. And you get over that hump, and then what happens? They see it, and a link happens. People want to make a connection for people who are doing real stuff. If you're not doing real stuff, well, that's the first thing. You obviously first got to polish your gem. You got to find it, right? And then polish it. But once you have it, don't keep it clutched tight to your chest, hidden.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well said.
Thank you.
Of course. In creative fields such as this, there's a lot of discussion around creating. In your opinion, what is the purpose of creation? What do you think it gives to the audience?
Hmm. Yeah. What is the purpose of creation? Man, I think about this and talk about this all the time. I'm so happy you asked me this because I feel sometimes people are like, shut up, don't care. And I'm like, it's fair. I spend time thinking about like stuff most people probably don't. But what is the purpose of creation? Okay, so I alluded to this a little bit earlier when I was talking about the time we have, right?
Yeah.
Think about time. Think about dinosaurs and like, ice age or, fossils, all these different things, or even history recently, right? It just continues nonstop. Science, for example, what I was into, I was when I was at school, I studied biology. That's kind of what my parents really thought was like the best thing and is a really good thing. I really love biology and I love science and I do love the perspective it gives you of the details of the world, right?
Mhm.
But anyone can make a scientific discovery. Anyone can have, within reason, can reach a certain athletic feat, right? Within the realm of training and structure and all that. But no one can create what you can create. No one can. No one thinks like anyone else. Not exactly. An example would be, a teacher puts up something and asks the class to paint it, or some clay molder puts up an example of a something, a pot, and then asks everyone to mold it. They all look different. So creation is truly the only purpose. And does that mean everyone can do it? No. In order for us to create, meaning the creators, we have to have everything else around us to give us the structure and the examples of what to learn from, to use to create. So to be clear, I don't want to sound like a bigot, like I'm like, oh, if you're not a creator, you're useless. That's not what I mean at all. It's all one big painting, one big cog, and one big machine.
Mm.
But the audience provides for the creator, and the creator provides for the audience. So the creator, all this work that the audience is doing to create this world that we can use as a easel to paint our picture, right, so to speak, they deserve the enjoyment to escape from that hell as well, right? So it's like a cycle. It's all together. The purpose of creation is for us, the creators. We need to create. It's very important. It's the
Yeah.
highest, most perfect, best version of being a human. And then to the audience, it gives them an experience, which is, you know, the peak of life.
Nice. Yeah, you have thought about it a lot.
Yeah, because experience is the best thing. If you think about, there are bad experiences, of course, but I mean, the best experience, or memory that you have, it was an experience, right? It was something you went through, something that happened that was so cool, right? A
Hmm.
graduation or meeting the coolest, someone you looked up to, or achieving some major goal or buying your parents a house or something, right? That's an experience, right? So artists, creators give their audience an experience, hopefully a great one.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, Patrick, what was your upbringing like?
So I am a Jamaican American. I grew up with a single mom. Um, she was incredible, absolutely amazing. She's very tough, but she always said, and she was right, that one day you'd understand. And she was right. She was very strict with everything. Like, she'd let me watch TV, but she would only let me watch Animal Planet, the Science Channel, Discovery Channel, whichever one, and like educational things. Like, that's what she would let me watch. Like, History Channel, back when it was like history and not just like conspiracy theories and aliens and stuff.
Yeah.
Um, so she was strict with everything she was on top of. So that was like media, right? She would let me like read comics ish, but they were like National Geographics or things like that. And when I went to my grandparents' house, that's when he would get me, all kinds of comics, and he took me to the Superman Museum when I was 10, things like that. Very, very
Mm.
impressionable on me, right? So my mom, she was more strict with kind of what I was consuming, food wise as well. Like, man, she cooked every day and made like the best Jamaican food ever, but then also would make sure that my lunch was a specific way and I couldn't eat the foods because it was like all this stuff in them. She was right.
Hmm.
She's an occupational therapist and a physical therapist, so she was very adamant about wellness from a functional and efficient way. So it was interesting. It also helped me in my sports and athletic career and rest of my life because I just understand functionality pretty well from how she was adamant about that, about those things. So she worked really, really hard and put me in basically all private schools my whole life. But we grew up really poor. So true Jamaican, spending all that money on education and the value it brings, which it does.
Hmm.
Um, but it definitely there were times when it was a bit tough. Um, but I definitely had a loving parent, and she made sure to provide food and education and love. So I can't complain.
Oh, that's incredible.
Yeah,
Well,
and
thank you for sharing. Oh, go
yeah,
ahead.
no, no,
Sorry.
no. Well, of course. And I was just gonna say that, growing up in Florida was interesting because Um, there's a lot of, mm, I'd say, obviously more aggressive tendencies or rougher tendencies for sure. And um, I think growing up with just a mom, it's interesting because you automatically have this like softer lens on how you look at life. So it gave me a good balance of like being tough when I needed to, for sure, just by the environment. But mom being the one who's kind of in charge of everything, kind of giving you that um, softness that you're able to approach to life as well. So it's
Yeah,
good balance.
absolutely. So, what do you feel are the next steps in your journey?
Yeah. So, oh man, journey's very exciting. Right now, well, most recently, so last week I was at Taffy, which is the Toronto Animated Arts Film International Festival. I know it's a mouthful. I was invited. I submitted like months and months ago. Like low-key forgot, and then they hit me up that I guess I won, and I was invited to go present. And so I presented, and people absolutely loved it. And I won an honorarium TV Paint License Award for 2026.
Wow,
And it's a license for animation software, TV Paint software for life, I believe, perpetuity. So
that's amazing.
thank you.
Congratulations.
Really excited for that. Looking forward to utilizing that, yeah, to leverage a lot of projects. Um, yeah, we have quite a few things, few irons in the fire. We got a really good team around us, talking to some really exciting people who will be excited to announce when we can. And yeah, looking forward to San Diego Comic Con and Lightbox this year for sure, and anything else that we're at.
Absolutely love that.
Definitely want you guys to keep up to date with us. Follow us at Sentinel underscore SIX6.
You hear that, everybody? You better. No threat, no threat, but
Yeah, definitely want you guys to stay up to date. It's gonna be exciting.
wonderful. I'm excited.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Of course. Okay, now is the time for rapid questions where I'll ask you a series of questions and you just answer them as quickly as possible. Okay?
Cool. Yeah.
Wonderful. So, dogs or cats?
Dogs.
Big dogs or small
Big
dogs?
dogs.
Oh, okay. Um, cake or pie?
Mm. Hi.
Any particular type of pie?
Man, that's so tough. Pecan or blueberry?
That's a good choice. I understand why you're stuck. How many hours of sleep do you need?
We're talking about how much I need, how much I get.
Why not both?
All right. Need, I'd do with a nice 8.5.
Mm-hmm.
Usually be getting like 6, 5.5.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, you're busy. You're very busy.
Yes. Yes.
What's your favorite season?
Ooh. Hmm. The end of summer and beginning of fall.
Okay, okay, that's I've never heard that as an answer, so I'm gonna need you to elaborate a little bit. Why that time in particular?
Because it's still warm and it's the opposite of what we're in, well, in New York right now, which is it's still cold, but every once in a while warm. It's like warm, but every once in a while cool.
Oh, I see, I see. You prefer warmer weather.
Yes.
I guess that makes sense because you're from Florida.
Yeah.
What's your favorite seasoning?
Mm. Onion powder.
That's a good answer.
Yes.
You gotta add that into everything.
Yes. And it always runs
Yeah.
out.
Oh my god, it always runs out. uh what's your favorite number?
41.
Any particular reason why?
Actually, scratch that. It's 11. Sorry.
Oh, wow. Okay. Any particular reason why it's now 11?
Yes. 11 was a number I always wanted to wear, but I never got to wear it. Just,
Oh, like, okay. When you were doing sports?
yes.
I see.
Yeah. That was actually my favorite number. Yeah, 11.
Is there, I know nothing about sports besides how to spell it. Is there like a particular athlete you looked up to that had the number 11?
Hmm. No, it was more about the aesthetic of just like the line, the double line. I think that was just
Oh, okay. Oh, no, I get it.
my bad.
That's very fair. There's no other number
That
like
might
it.
sound
Don't worry.
stupid, but I was just like, you know what? Those two lines, it just like look like a race car.
Yeah. No, totally. Okay, pick a word that starts with the letter R, and it can't be a name.
Rocky.
Is that a name? Did you just say a name?
I did, but I wasn't thinking of the name. I was thinking of like a rocky road.
Okay.
But I realized afterwards that was the name of my dog the past couple of years ago, a few years ago.
Oh.
So I was like, wait a minute, that isn't it. That's a dog.
You
So
know, yeah, but you know what? Dogs are great, so I'm going to allow it.
thank you.
Of course. What type of dog was Rocky?
He was a white German Shepherd.
Oh my goodness, that's so beautiful.
Yeah, I know he was beautiful.
Oh, I love German Shepherds, so.
Thank you. You would have loved him. He was the best.
Aw, I bet.
Yeah, he was actually nice with people. So
Oh, wonderful.
mhm.
Yeah, I like, not to like derail, but I really like big dogs because they just end up being the biggest babies.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. He was a
They're
huge
so.
baby.
Oh, sweetness. Well, thank you so much, Patrick, for speaking with us today. It's been a pleasure. Do you have any social? I mean, you already plugged your social media once. I want you to do it again. So go ahead and get your social media handles out there for everyone to hear.
Yeah, for sure. I think the best one to follow everything would be at Sentinel, which is Sentinel underscore SIX. So at Sentinel 6. That IG has our website in the bio, so you can go ahead and check out a lot of our dope content. We have a really dope store up too with a bunch of cool merch. Yeah, and a bunch of content on that IG page. My personal IG page, Stout Sand, is also in there if you're interested. I do a bunch of cool stuff in New York City with the Bryant Park Department, as well as through the classes that I coach and teach. And of course, yeah, I be creating and making sure it happens.
And thank you, the listener, for tuning in. If you're interested in supporting Creating Color, please follow us on Instagram or YouTube and tell your friends and family about us. If you're interested in following me, you can find me on Instagram and YouTube at Maybe It's Kaybe. Thanks to Namikaze for creating the ending theme. You can find more of his music on his SoundCloud at soundcloud.com/Namikaze. That's Namikaze. If you're interested in supporting Creating Color financially, consider a one-time or monthly donation through our PayPal or Coffee account, coffee.com/creatingcolor. Links available via our link tree. And I think I pronounced that wrong again. My goodness. Before we wrap up, do you have any departing words of wisdom for everyone listening?
Hmm. Hmm. I think I would say, yeah, do the thing. Do the thing. Write it down. I heard someone recently telling me, oh, I'm going to wait until I finish writing this journal for the rest of this year, and then I'll be a good enough writer to start writing this book. And I was like, dude, you're already writing. Just write. Do it. Don't be scared. It's scary. Recognize that. I'm not delegitimizing that it's scary. You're right. It is. But that doesn't mean you don't do it.
Thank you so much. This has been Creating in Color. Keep striving, keep trying, keep creating. Bye.
Peace.